Hello everyone, I have the day off of work, so I figured I'd bring you guys along in the day of a life of someone who is intentionally trying to get reading back into their day-to-day routine. I used to be such a huge bookworm growing up. I feel like I was just inhaling books left and right. But as an adult, I think between just getting busy with life and also suffering from some academic education burnout, I have just been reading a lot less as an adult, but I still like reading. It has just been something that's been harder to retrain my brain to focus on. But I have been trying to get back into it and be a lot more intentional about how I fit it into my day, because I do think that my mental health is a lot better when I read consistently. I feel like I'm learning a lot more, my vocabulary is better, and also when I'm fitting it in before bed, I sleep a lot better because it's getting me off of my phone. So we are going to see how much reading I get done today on my day off. I have some other tasks I need to do, but we are going to fit reading in as we can. Of course, I am joined by my little reading buddy, Callie. She is a little cuddle bug and loves to join me in bed while I'm reading. It's approximately 8:30 in the morning, and we are starting today off by reading Woman's Hotel by Daniel Lavery on my Kindle. I am only on like page 6 of this. I just started this the other day, so I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about it, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I find it interesting or if it's just not my vibe yet, but we're going to give it a little bit more and see how we actually feel about it. I have been bouncing back and forth between being on my phone and reading, so I didn't make as much progress in the past couple hours as I would have if I was focused on reading, but that is okay. We have made a little bit of progress. We are going to end this reading session on page 34, being 21% of the way through. I think we're finally starting to get to the plot in this book, so I'm going to stick it out a little bit longer just to see if I like the actual plot of this or not. I've realized that I think one of the factors that has been maybe slowing down the speed of my reading with this book is that it just has more challenging vocabulary in it than maybe the average book that I read does, and that isn't inherently a bad thing. I'm always looking for books that are going to improve and expand my vocabulary. So I enjoy learning new vocabulary through this book, but it does slow me down because I'm looking up words when I don't know them, and then I'm having to go back and reread the passage that had that word so that I can read it with a new understanding. And while I'm enjoying that process, it is slowing me down a little bit. And I don't know, I am hoping that it picks up pace. The reviews of it say that it's a super entertaining and funny book. I have not seen that so far. I think that the start of this has been very, very slow, but I am interested to see if I like the plot itself. Right here, you can see me listening to my audiobook as I'm getting ready. I have been making myself become an audiobook person. I've always wanted to be one, but in the past, I've struggled a lot with getting distracted while listening to one, and then by the time that I'm listening back in, I honestly have no idea what's happening in the book. I don't know if it's because I've already read this book before, and so it's not as much new information that I'm needing to process, but I've been having a lot better luck this time around. I feel like I'm retaining a decent amount of information, following along in the storyline, and my mind hasn't been wandering as much. So right now, I'm listening to Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and I am 58% of the way through. One of my tasks today has been to reorganize this closet. So while I've been reorganizing, I have been listening to my audiobook. Okay, I need to leave my apartment for my mental health because I know that I am just not going to feel good if I stay cooped up in my apartment all day. So we are going to continue our reading journey and go to the library and get some reading done there. Y'all can enjoy some nice B-roll of me driving. I wanted to include this because I was listening to my audiobook to and from the library. Also, I did a little pit stop at Dutch Bros so I could have a nice little treat. For anyone who's curious, I got a hot black tea with passion fruit flavoring. But I have found that I do really enjoy listening to my audiobook while driving. I think that driving is enough engagement for my brain that it gives me something to focus on a little bit so that I can also focus on the audiobook because I need a little bit of something to be able to focus, but it also isn't taking so much of my focus that I can't focus on the audiobook. So it's been like a nice level of stimulation to be able to listen. Enjoy these little time lapses of me reading in the library. So I did not go into the library with the intention of checking out more books. I went in with the intention of making more progress on the book I was already reading, but I am incapable of going into a bookstore, a library, anything like that, and not getting new books to read. So I checked out 3 books. I checked out Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian, Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, and Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. All of these I did check out in large print. I do try to check out books in large print because I feel like they're easier to read in the same way that reading on my Kindle is easier for me. I think it's just the text makes it so much more accessible for my brain. But I did check out 3 books, and then at the end of this clip, you will see me writing in my notebook. That is my little dictionary notebook that I carry around with me. Here is me listening to my audiobook as I'm getting unready for the night, and as a very exciting cherry on top accomplishment to end the day on, I did finish my audiobook tonight. The audiobook I was listening to was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. So now I am going to need to find a new audiobook to be listening to. All right, y'all. It is time to talk reading wrap up. Let's go over our progress for the day. So I am very pleased to say that today has now become the new reigning champion for November for the amount of pages read in one day. I am very, very surprised by that because I did not think we were going to beat our previous champ, but we did. So for you guys who have not seen this, this is my reading notebook. So I have these spreads, which are all of my books that I've read. Well, not all. I don't count rereads on this, but these are books I have read. And then this is my monthly spread and what it looks like. So on one hand for the month, I have all of the books that I read or am currently reading for the month. And then I track how many pages I have read on this spread. So the previous reigning champ was November 1st, in which I read 207 pages. And then right after that was November 9th, in which I read 206 pages. But today it takes over as reigning champ because I read 240 pages today, which is my new record for the month. And I finished 1 book. So I finished Yellowface, which I was listening to as my audiobook, but I do have a hardcover copy of this book, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel nervous posting this online, but I feel like Yellowface is a book that I feel like I should like. And it's not necessarily bad. It's just kind of meh to me. Like, nothing about it really, really stands out to me. But I feel like I should feel more impacted by it than I am. So this was a reread for me. I read this, probably over a year and a half ago? Oh, like 2 years ago? Almost on the dot. I finished this for the first time November 6th of 2023. So I was like, it's time to revisit it because I remember walking away from it the first time also being like, I feel like maybe I'm just missing something because I feel like I should be more impressed. I think the reason why I feel conflicted about it is, one, it is an Asian American author, and I want to support authors of color and Asian authors specifically, obviously. I mean, all authors of color, but being an Asian American, I really enjoy consuming content from Asian American authors. And I think all of the points being made in this are very important and very valid. I don't know. And I know this might get me some heat for saying this because I know that this is discourse online that people have very strong feelings about. But I do think I fall in the category where this is maybe a little too heavy-handed for me. in where I don't like the main character, but I know you're not, like, I know the point is to have an unlikable main character. Don't get me wrong. I fully understand that. But I feel like, listen, I love a main character that you aren't necessarily supposed to like. Like, I am all for unlikable protagonists, but I feel like to have a good unlikable protagonist, they need to be written with the depth and complexity that it's like, oh, well, they're unlikable, but also I can appreciate how they're written and I can appreciate kind of their twisted motives. And I'm trying to think. I feel like I read a book semi-recently. I don't remember which book it was. But I remember I was talking about this earlier in this year of like, I don't remember what book it was. There was one book that I was like, this is my example of an unlikable main character that I still liked and thought was well written. That's a whole tangent on its own, but I just did not feel that about Junie. I feel like, and again, maybe this comes back to the heavy-handedness, but I feel like there was nothing complex enough about her, or like, oh, that's kind of messed up, her logic, but I can see the logic to it. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm tired. My brain has processed a lot of reading today, but I just feel like I should like it, and I think it's an important book, and I think it's good that so many people like it because it has such an important message. I just, unfortunately, don't know if I'm quite the intended audience. Like, I feel like I should be the intended audience, but I just don't know if I am, which I like hate saying so much. Like, I want to like this book so much. Like, I want to give this a 4.5 stars. I do. The first time I read this, I gave this a 4 stars, which I think was me being kind of like, oh, the message is important, and I think it's just something that I don't necessarily get, and that's just why maybe I wasn't wowed by it. But this time around, I am going to lower that to a 3.5 stars. There's moments in this that I really like, but overall, it's fine. I feel like I've read a lot better books than this year. And unfortunately, I have a very large physical TBR, like embarrassingly large, and I only have so much space in my apartment. So we're being a little cutthroat, and we've been having to be a little cutthroat about what books I keep and what I let go of. And unfortunately, I think it's time to pass this book on to a new home. But I'm hoping that this gets passed on to a new home of someone who really likes this book and someone who maybe can learn something from this book, or I don't know. There's so many people that love this book. I'm hoping this can get passed on to a loving new home because I want it to get the appreciation that it deserves. And unfortunately, I just do not fall in that category. So we are going to pass her along to a loving new home. And then real quick, that's so quick on my other reading updates. So I read 34 pages of Women's Hotel by Daniel Lavery. It's an okay book. I need to stick it out a little bit further before I decide if it's going to be a DNF or if I want to continue with it. I think that was just going to be kind of like my slow-paced one in the background. And then as you guys saw in my time lapse, I started Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. And I read 54 pages of that. So again, the total is 240 pages. Finished one book, started 2 others, and now I need to find another audiobook to start to keep the momentum going, to hopefully force myself to become an audiobook person.